Good morning and welcome to the Weekly News Roundup. I'm Larry Epstein. Getting subpoenaed is a family affair, especially if you're in the Trump family. The Office of the Attorney General of New York has issued those subpoenas to Donald Trump, Ivanka Trump, and Don Jr. It's all part of the civil probe of the Trump Organization that's looking into whether or not the company misled banks and/or tax officials by inflating the values of their assets to get loans or reducing them to get tax savings. Donald Trump is suing the AG and denying all charges, calling them politically motivated, shocker there, and all three of the Trumps are fighting those subpoenas. By the way, the Manhattan DA has already announced criminal charges against the company and CFO Alan Weisselberg, alleging tax fraud. They've all pleaded not guilty. Meantime, a second grand jury is currently hearing evidence on that criminal probe that I just mentioned. The city's new mayor, Eric Adams, gave his first speech just hours after he was sworn in on New Year's Eve, and he's hitting the ground running, and he's also filled with optimism.
These past 2 years, our city workers, including educators, agency personnel, and all the women and men who keep New York running, have made sacrifices for their city again and again. Every day I am in office, I will remember their commitment to the city and be inspired by it. I say thank you. I chose Times Square as the site of my swearing in because I take this important office as a time of great challenges for our city. And I wanted New Yorkers and the world to be reminded of two things right away as my administration begins. First, that despite COVID-19 and its persistence, New York is not closed. It is still open and alive because New Yorkers are more resilient than the pandemic. And second, that New York can and should be the center of the universe again, bustling, thriving, electric with the energy of people, and patient with the imperfect word, sharpening and shaping it, leading it to something better through this sheer will and talent. We all need that reminder right now. We have lived through 2 years of continuous crises, and that insults our very nature as New Yorkers. The crisis tells us that it is in charge, that it is in control. The crisis wants to tell us we can be happy, when we can be sad, when we can work, and how we can enjoy our city. The crisis wants to tell us how to live. But there's one thing everyone knows about New Yorkers. We don't like anyone telling us what to do.
The DA in Albany County is declining to prosecute Andrew Cuomo on a charge of forcibly touching a woman in the governor's mansion. The accuser is one of about a dozen women who have come forward, but none of them have resulted in any criminal charges against the former governor. The DA in Albany says there simply was not enough evidence to proceed. Up next, seeking justice over the attack on the Capitol, and how high up in the Trump chain of command the Justice Department will go as it investigates the people responsible.
Dad?
Just 1 minute, okay?
Hey, Bobo, do trees tell each other stories?
I'm sorry. I'm afraid I don't know that.
Hey, why don't we go find out? Listen.
Do clouds take naps?
I couldn't tell you.
Can birds draw pictures?
I don't have an answer for that.
Dad, do stars visit their friends?
Look!
When I was growing up, my mom was extremely tidy. We were trained to put things back where we got them from. One day, when I walked into my mom's house, I felt like I walked to someone else's house. There was stuff everywhere. And just growing up the way I grew up and to see this transition was very alarming.
When Sean talked to me, it was a wake-up call, and that's when I went to the doctor.
When I was in foster care, I never knew when I would have to move. so I always had my suitcase ready to go. Then one day, I was adopted. My new parents opened their hearts and home to me. My parents cook my favorite breakfast for me every morning. My parents take me on trips I never thought I would go on. They gave me a home and an even better reason to use that suitcase. My parents aren't perfect, but they're perfect for me.
Hey! Okay.
If you love me enough to tolerate my perfect little pets and all their glorious dander, then of course you'll visit nhtsa.gov/the right seat to make sure I'm in the right car seat.
Right here, baby.
The sooner you recognize the signs of autism, the sooner you can make a lifetime of difference for your child. Start by answering a few simple questions at screenforautism.org.
It's all good, baby.
Is it really all good?
If you love me enough to routinely test your handyman skills, not to mention the strength of your marriage, then of course you'll visit nhtsa.gov/the right seat to make sure I'm in the right car seat.